Hey everyone, welcome again to another installment of Midweek with Steve. I'm glad you're here to kind of share the lunch break with me, midway through the week. Today I want to talk to you about Jesus. Well, don't we always talk about Jesus or something about around Jesus or the kingdom or God, whatever? Well, yeah, but specifically, it's kind of a question today. And the question today is which Jesus? What Jesus? Because there appears to be a whole lot of Jesuses out there. Let me illustrate it this way. There's some drama in the media this past week between Lady Gaga and Vice President Pence. Now, let me set it up this way. Last week, his wife took a job teaching art at a Christian evangelical school. Now, because it is a Christian evangelical school, part of their doctrine, part of their philosophy is that they do not endorse the LGBT doctrine, nor do they hire people who endorse that. And when she took the job, part of the media blasted her and blasted Pence, and Pence responded with somewhat of sorrow that the media is doing this because he looked at the history of the United States of America, and there really is a rich history of Christian education. Now, Sunday night, and I didn't see Lady Gaga's concert, didn't know about it, but apparently in the middle of her concert, you can find clips on YouTube, she just kind of, went sideways in the middle of a song and she blasted Pence. And her response was, "I am a Christian woman. Therefore, Pence, you need to know that you are wrong." And she said that he was the worst representation of Christianity and that he was an utter disgrace. So, that kind of begs the question, which one's right? Now, to be clear, I'm not doing the webcast today to blast Lady Gaga. If Lady Gaga was here, I'd buy her coffee and we could just share life together. I'd love to hear her story and I'd share my story. I don't hate Lady Gaga, but it brings this question of which is the right Jesus. Because Lady Gaga has her Jesus and Ken Pence has his Jesus. And the truth of the matter, everybody seems to have an opinion on what is the right Jesus. Jesus is my homeboy. Jesus is my best friend. Jesus is the God I can't touch. Jesus is the Republican Jesus. Jesus is the Democrat Jesus. And the truth is, all of those are right and all of those are wrong. Where do we get to the real Jesus? See, the question is, what do we do about passages in the Bible that we don't like? What do we do about, things that Jesus said that make us feel uncomfortable, maybe even convicts us? What do we do about those sort of things? And that's the tension. Do we gloss over things we don't like? Or do we rather try to submit our lives and our worldview to what Jesus said? Do we try to move in that direction? So the challenge today, that I'm going to give you today, and really for the next couple of weeks, is to look at some things that Jesus did say. It kind of make us feel uncomfortable, but Jesus said them. Here's number one that I want you to understand. Jesus spoke in the Gospels about the reality, the authenticity, the historicity of Noah, the ark, and coming judgment. Noah and the ark, isn't that kind of like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus? Well, Jesus didn't think so. You go to Matthew chapter 24, and Jesus is teaching, and he teaches and he talks about the historicity, the authenticity of Noah and the ark account in the same way he would be teaching a lesson on Caesar Augustus. In the context, the disciples were asking about the end times, and Jesus said, in essence, it'll be like the days of Noah. People were eating, drinking, doing life, rejecting God, and judgment came. And Jesus said it'll be that way in the end as well. People will just be doing life, rejecting the truth of God, and judgment will come. Now, we don't like judgment talk today. We like grace talk. And I will be the first to admit, I need the grace of Jesus Christ. I need his love. I have peace with God solely upon what he did for me on the cross. I don't deserve it. I cannot earn it. We need that grace. But if we're truly following Jesus, we need to acknowledge that he also came not just full of grace, but full of truth. And because of truth, there is judgment. And Jesus talked about judgment. Matthew chapter 24, Matthew chapter 25, he referred to eternal judgment. In Luke chapter 1, he referred to him coming back with the armies of heaven on the clouds of heaven. In Matthew chapter 22, he talked about the great banquet, and he noted that those who were outside were subjected to weeping and gnashing of teeth. Revelation chapter 21, or Revelation chapter 19, picking up in verse 11, graphic picture of Jesus Christ coming with the armies of heaven, King of kings, Lord of lords, and it's just a bloodbath for those who have rejected God. The judgment talk is there. Now, in one piece, this is good news. Let me illustrate it this way. A lot of times people look at the world and they say, God, there's so much evil and violence. When are you going to do something? Well, God will do something. He will do that with a judgment, and it will come someday. But that's also a reality check that we will stand before a holy God someday, and we will either answer for our own sin, or we will, in this life, embrace the grace of Jesus Christ. If we don't embrace the Jesus Christ, we have to answer God's judgment call and be punished for our sin. But it's also a challenge for those who know Jesus. We have to share the love of Christ so that people would avoid this judgment. Now, this is really kind of the challenge that I want to give to everybody, talking about judgment, talking about other things in the future. There are things in the Bible that Jesus talked about that we may not like. And the challenge is to go to the Gospels. Don't go to Lady Gaga. Don't go to Mike Pence. Don't go to Steve Hinton. Don't go to your preacher. Don't go to, some other celebrity. Go directly to the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And begin reading those systematically, even just one chapter a day. And go with it with a heart, a spirit of receptivity and humility, saying, God, I want to know the real Jesus. Now, you do that, there's going to be some transformation. You do that, it's going to be hard. But here's what I want you to understand. Not pursuing Jesus may actually be more risky than allowing yourself to be led by Jesus. Staying where you're at may be the risky move. The more risky. Yes, if you pursue Jesus, he may reveal some truths that will transform you, but the ultimate end will be beautiful and there will be hope in it. So there's the challenge for today. We'll talk about this more at least the next 2 weeks, the truths in the Bible about Jesus that transform. As we wrap things up here again, Confessions, Finding Hope Through One Pastor's Doubt. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. You can get that today. It's been out about 2 months now, but it's there. Get it. It will encourage you. And then let me invite you, if you like these studies, these midweek deals, like it and share it on YouTube, Facebook. Ultimately, follow the Kingdomology blog and share that. I'll see you again next week. Be strong.